You're listening
Hi
to Science
everybody,
Club
in
on
English, special for
Radio
you,
Centro Musica,
Jocelyn,
a
Zofia,
digital
and
broadcasting
Carlotta.
radio.
Hey there.
Yes,
Good. So we introduce ourselves. So Marco, you're PhD,
In environmental biotechnology,
right?
but I graduate as we were saying before. I'm a PhD in environmental biotechnology, but I graduated in molecular and industrial biotechnology.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to keep track of that.
Yeah, and they are also very long words. And in Italy, when someone which is not from academia or a university or whatever asks me what I am, I tend to say I'm a biologist because people tend not to know what I am.
Yeah, so that's just a shortcut. Like I'm a theoretical physicist and that's it. So it's simple.
That's shorter, but I don't think people understand anyway.
KISS. Keep it simple
Yeah.
and stupid. Yeah, exactly. That makes it like easier for you to understand. So, well, you're the president of the Association for Science Communication. It's called Minerva.
Yeah, I'm part of this organization since I've been part of Minerva since 2015. The association itself was founded in 2013, and it's an organization that wants to get citizens closer to science, to explain what science is to citizenship, to reduce the distance between citizens and science, because too often there is a big divide between people and science. So we tend to people tend to be afraid of science and to have a disbelief in what science can do for society, to the point that we don't want science to help us.
Yeah, because people tend to think that science is just a separate thing, that there are scientists doing their own business and people just living their lives, and science, it's like a big unknown. We don't know.
Yeah,
what
and
it's about,
one of
just
the main reasons why I started science communication was that I was working in science, and I felt that no one knew what I was doing and what people are doing in laboratories, in universities and stuff. And there is a lot of people working on a lot of stuff, and people should know about that, because if we know what is done, for example, in factories, so you know that the product you use was made in a factory, okay, but the same way you know that the glass you drink from was made in a glass factory, you should know that your how well your vaccine, well the drugs you take were made, and how, and which with which technology. And I think that if you don't know what you're um, uh, about the stuff that you use, you cannot value them.
which is exactly why, for instance, we talk about animals and the importance of protecting them and the impacts they've got on the on our world, on the planet, because they play really huge role, and we couldn't live without animals. The point is to understand, because many species are not protected in some ways. Well, we're interfering with the habitats. We're interfering with the environments. We're destroying. We're destroying basically part of our planet to some extent, and we are going. Well, we're soon. We've just realized that many of these wonders, we can call them, seem set to disappear forever, and so
Yeah.
to basically go extinct. An expert.
Yeah, and that makes the news, right? When it's a rhino or it's a leopard. It's like big animals, and that we tend to imagine. But the problem is much deeper, and so there are many there are many animals disappearing that we don't know of, and that are crucial for the environment.
Right, exactly. Well, we've got experts who found that, thanks, 1 million animals are risking to go extinct, and well, 1 million animal and plant species, and well, the worst is yet to come. So we haven't really seen the effects of what we're doing and how we're interfering yet. And well, we are observing somehow now, and we can define ourselves basically as asteroids causing species to go extinct. And we've got evidence that we're the ones that are causing that problem, as well as we were talking about CO2 and how well our impact, and this is also impacting animals and the extinction of some.
Yeah, there are many activities causing the disappearance of animals, and as we were saying before, that one of the biggest one, the biggest thing we are doing wrong is we are taking away the environment itself from animals. So the reason why, for example, orangutans are disappearing from Borneo or rainforests is that we are removing the forest itself, and then that's really bad. So this is the first reason, but and that's the more obvious. But other things we are doing are, well, hunting or polluting. We spread many toxic substances in the environment, and many of them were harmful for some animal species that we maybe didn't even know, and they were gone forever for that.
So we're basically, what we're doing is that we're losing critical parts of the Earth system and threatening our food and water and our climate. We're encroaching further every day into the wildlife habitat, and that is driving the emerging of diseases. Well, there is a lot of viruses and bacteria which are hidden in the ice. So once this ice is going to melt, well, what's going to happen? How will that will impact somehow through viruses, epidemics? So this is going to be a huge problem we're going to deal with.
The problem is that many diseases were, as probably the coronavirus we all heard about, were just diffused present among animals. But if we invade the environment of these animals, we end up getting in touch with these pathogens, and then we are in danger of something that would not have been a problem if we didn't tamper with with the environment.
So we're literally the asteroids that playing the same role as the ones that killed all the dinosaurs, right? Like,
yeah, as I like to say, we're the worst kind of flatmates for the other species on this planet, because we are like the flatmate that takes your stuff, always invades your personal space, and doesn't leave you alone.
We aren't exactly flatmates, are we? Like, we're actually intruders who are destroying the ecosystems, and on which we depend, by the way. It's not only animals who depend upon that, but we're removing pieces of the puzzle. So it's a huge puzzle, and we're actually just killing. We're killing directly and more or less directly. So
yeah, as you said exactly, it's if you remove a piece, the whole picture goes bad, because like in a puzzle, like the puzzle is complete when there is everything, and if you start removing pieces, it all falls apart. I put it. It was put in a wonderful way by I don't remember the name, but someone said that the food web, the environment, the biosystem is like like a tapestry. Okay, so if you remove threads from a tapestry, for a while nothing will happen, but at a certain point you will pull the critical string, and all the tapestry will fall apart. So there's probably a moment that we are probably close to, in which we do something bad and a lot of stuff comes crashing down.
I'm puzzled as well by that, but I'm probably part of it as well. So I'm contributing somehow to the balance of the entire ecosystem. And well, as we probably cited before, by building streets and like various buildings, and well, just using animals, like several different animal parts, and economics, and what impacts that has on the animals and the entire habitats of the animals, because we are actually using those territories for.
Yeah, I think we have to like divide the two situations, like environment here and environment in hotspots for biodiversity on the other side of the world, that are put in danger by someone that are not us, but that we buy things from.
And so there is something we could do about it. Because we observe a population growth which is much higher in the developing world than in the developed. The problem, we can't just talk about population growth issue, because that's not exactly, because there are other things that we should take into account. Like, for instance, is that if we were going to talk about possible reduction that we could think about, there is an issue. It's not exactly that. It's not the number is not the problem. So what we have to target is the consumption. So that's the issue, because that's exactly what has the biggest impacts on the planet. So the growth in consumption levels. So the levels should be reduced. And how are we going to target that? How are we going to influence the consumption levels? That's something that we should think about, and that we could, like, as a probably chain reaction in terms of contribution from different sources. We should actually think about reducing, for instance, pollution, reducing the consumption of meat, and limit the production and things that are not fundamental to our daily life and
For example, one of the examples I wanted to talk about was, for example, wood. We tend to buy things made of wood. For example, for our apartment, we buy wooden tables and chairs, and so precious woods like redwood, ebony, or wood like that normally comes from like the rainforest, and from very big hotspots of biodiversity, and that is a big problem. So if you can try and buy things made from certain kinds of wood that come from renewable forests, so replanted forests, and also possibly from forests closer to your house, so closer to where you live, that don't have to travel all around the world, burning fossil fuels to get there. And that's the first thing that we can do. And the other thing that has something to do with that is choosing products that don't come from hotspots of biodiversity. And one of these is palm oil. I'm not saying not to use palm oil, or not to choose food that has palm oil inside, but most of the palm oil, we have to be aware of that. Palm oil is not bad for your health. It depends on how much you have, how much you eat, but it's not bad for your health, but comes from from places that are normally very close, if not if they don't completely take the place of rainforest, and that is really bad.
So we basically need to start producing affordable food without really expanding any further into the forest. So that's
Exactly.
one of the key issues here, or key solutions. And in fact, if we imagine that 75% of the land on our planet has been converted, so well, that's a problem, because that's 3/4 of the terrestrial surface, which has been changed just to feed one species. So
yeah, and especially to feed what we eat. So to feed the animals that then we eat. So the problem is, so for example, having a vegetarian diet or even vegan is good for the planet. So but I'm not saying to become vegan or vegetarian, but we could just reduce if everyone reduced the amount of meat we have to maybe once a week or maybe twice a week, not more, we could do something. Because to feed all the animals, we have to grow, to eat them. We have to make space for fields of plants. For example, most of the animals eat soybeans and stuff like that, even in Italy and in Europe. And most of the animal feed that we buy is genetically modified soy that comes from, which is not bad. I want to specify that that's not the issue, but it's soy that is cultivated in like mostly South America, and that is where the huge hotspots in biodiversity. So if we could use what we produce here, or use less of that soybean, for example, there would be less need to expand our fields into the rainforest on the other side of the world.
Because that's exactly the point that I wanted to highlight, is that we're actually, well, in terms of consumption, we've got laws in the developed countries. The problem is that we are industrial countries, right? But most of the things that we actually use and produce are produced abroad. Well, most things that we use are produced abroad.
We need to become knowledgeable. Well, we need to become consumers that know where they take their products from. So when we buy a smartphone, when we buy wood, when we buy cotton, something made of cotton, we need to know what's the impact on the environment.
We're basically just moving our footprint.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's not our fault because someone else does that. Someone is selling us redwood that comes from rainforest because there is some rich people that want their desk in their big office to be made of redwood. And that's, I mean, I never bought something made of rare wood, but there is people doing that, and but that's one thing. But for example, objects made of one thing is ivory, but also made of crocodile or seal fur. All these are products that from an animal source that has to do some damage to the environment to exist.
So the point is that 40 years ago, we people used to produce a good deal less. So we basically, and it's not clear that we're unhappier with that amount. So what's happening, some observed, is that we've got a lot of food waste, for instance. So we could reduce that.
Yeah.
We could just produce more affordable food without really, invading the wilderness, for instance, and other habitats and killing animals. And it doesn't mean that we have to cut all the dairy and the meat of our diets, but we should actually produce sustainably. And besides making a more sustainable agricultural system, we should also educate our children and by educating them on the way that nature works and what they could do, and then a change in our lifestyles and
I think culture is the main issue, but also in here, for example, in our countries, but also in the countries where we take our products from, our prime materials from, because, for example, in the Congo, there is a problem with the way we produce. We take like gems and other stuff. So people from there they just see it as an economical opportunity to sell that stuff, and they will take down forests every day. But that's just because we ask that stuff. And if we educate that people, they will know how bad they are doing, and so that will fix something.
So just a change in lifestyles and in culture should be enough to start contributing to a reduction in this climate change and species which are endangered, and just help solve this issue to some extent. Yeah, so that's pretty much the key points.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Marco Rocca. Thank you very much, Jocelyn Sophia. It has been a very, very special evening, starting with Italian, but always about animals and, of course, humanity. Thank you so much for the insights you gave us. And we are passing the line over to Golden Night forever. Everybody, a good evening and enjoy life as it is. Let's go forward.
Have a lovely night. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, goodbye everyone, and thanks for the hosting.
And let's save the planet and our animals and ourselves.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody, and welcome, Golden Night.
Bye.
You listen to Science Club on Radio Centro Musica, a digital broadcasting radio.